Good morning, everybody. I hope you did well on your first day yesterday if you're doing the journey with me. If not, please feel free to continue to follow along. This is day 2. I just finished my first bottle of water. I woke up about 30 minutes ago. But I am going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to be eating throughout the day. And then we'll keep this going all week. Let's see if this works or was it just, a temporary situation. I'm excited to see the results and I will see you soon. All right, I am dressed. It is almost 2 o'clock. I'm getting ready to go ahead and make breakfast. My husband is off today, so I'll be making him something as well. I might just have the same thing I had yesterday. I need to run to the grocery store to get dinner, but I have had 3 bottles of water so far. Hope you're drinking your water too if you're following along. It's about 80 degrees here. I'm out here in North Carolina, so the water is definitely needed right now. But I am getting ready to show you what I am having for breakfast. You know what? I changed my mind. I think I'm going to have me a breakfast burrito. My husband doesn't eat potatoes or eggs, so I'm just going to make him a wrap, and I will have the breakfast that I want. So I'm going to make me a sausage breakfast burrito. So for my burrito, I have just a small red potato that I just diced up into bite-sized pieces. I also chopped up a little bit of white onion that I'm going to add to my pan. I used to boil my potatoes and then saute them, but I realized I didn't have to do all of that. I just make sure my pan is really hot, spray it with some nonstick cooking spray, add some olive oil, and then I just go ahead and add my potatoes freshly chopped to the pan just like that. And you don't have to boil them. I mean, I was doing all those extra steps, but I realized just to get them in a nice hot pan and then you cover them up. I think that is what the difference is. Covering them up so that you're getting a nice sear on the potatoes, as well as making sure that the internal temperature is cooking down as well. Once they are cooked for a bit, you can take them off, take off your top. You'll see that the potatoes are starting to brown. I was holding my camera with one hand, so I wasn't able to hold my pan while I moved the potatoes around the sea, but you can see the pieces of potato that are starting to brown up. So you just go ahead and keep it going until everything is nice and brown. As you see here, they're starting to crisp up. I didn't want to use a whole bunch of pans, so I just used one pan. I added my sausage to the pan. Once that was done, I added my peppers, chopped up my sausage, sauteed some butter in that same pan. I went ahead and I scrambled me 2 eggs, a little bit of salt and pepper right in that same pan. I didn't want to, keep using a whole bunch of pans, and I wanted something quick. It was already 2:30, so I was ready to eat by that time. So I went ahead and I added my eggs to that pan that I already cooked my potatoes as well as my sausage and vegetables too. Once my eggs were done, I went ahead and I started to build my burrito. So I laid out a large tortilla. I added my chopped sausage, peppers, onions, as well as the egg. Now, I did kind of overstuff this burrito, but you know what? I hadn't eaten since yesterday around 8 o'clock, so I was hungry. So I packed my eggs on there, and then I went ahead and I topped it with a little bit of hot sauce. After, of course, I added some mild shredded cheddar cheese, and then I added my hot sauce and I added some taco sauce to it. Then I had to attempt the Chipotle burrito roll. I'm definitely not good at rolling burritos. My husband is definitely the pro, but I've learned a little bit from him over the years, so I figured I would attempt to roll that big baby up. And I think I did pretty good. It did take a little bit of maneuvering and pressing and tucking. And look at that. I made sure I didn't miss anything in that burrito. So I went ahead and tucked the sides in first. I found this is probably the easiest method for me. I know there are people that know how to roll burritos better, but It was a close call and I got it together. After that, I went ahead in that same pan and I put some nonstick cooking spray. I seared my burrito on all 4 sides. As you can see, everything done in one pan, nice and quick. I think it maybe took me about 15 minutes or so to build this whole burrito. And there she is. Yep, it was really good. And it kept me full for the day as well. Hey y'all, doing the water check-in. I just finished my 4th bottle of water with breakfast. I hope you guys are drinking your water. Just checking in with you. I keep my water. Now, you don't have to have a brand new bottle of water every time. You can just fill your bottle up and just make sure you're keeping count. I tend to have a new bottle of water every time just because the way our house is set up. It's just easier for us to have extra bottles of water in our bedroom, and I just drink it that way. And also, it helps me to be reminded to drink my water because it's constantly in my viewpoint. So maybe that's also something that can help you. If you're doing that big jug, more power to you. But I definitely prefer my bottled water. But I'm just checking in. So for dinner, since it was pretty hot out here, I wanted something that was quick, of course, flavorful and tasty, and something that was kind of light. Since breakfast, I won't say breakfast was super heavy, but it definitely was not a light breakfast because of the volume. But it did keep me full throughout the day, so I did not need a snack. So I decided I wanted to have me a turkey burger. So I have 2 pounds of ground turkey that I went ahead and I seasoned with some coarse ground black pepper, some kosher salt, some ground cumin, some paprika, some granulated garlic powder, as well as onion powder and Worcestershire sauce. I don't know who can say that word properly. I don't know who came up with that. Why does it have to be called that? But anyway, I added a few dashes of that to my meat. Now, once that was all done, I went ahead and I got in there and I mixed all of my seasonings in. Ground turkey does tend to season really well. However, it can be a bit tricky because you do need to make sure that you add enough seasoning for the flavor to come through. It also can be a little bit dry. So I saw a chef some years ago add a little bit of water to the ground turkey mixture. I think they were making some turkey meatballs or something. And just that little bit of water helps that ground turkey to retain so much moisture. So once that's done, you want to take a little piece of the meat. This is the little trick that I found as well. Brown it up in a pan and taste it. That way you can adjust your seasonings as need be. Once that was done, I went ahead and I formed my patties. Now, for this 2 pounds of ground turkey, I made about 6 burgers. I made them kind of big for a couple of reasons. Number one, I know that they're going to shrink up, and I wanted to make sure that there was a nice patty on the bun. And also, having a nice sized burger would prevent me from wanting to have so many fries with it because I did have a few fries. I wanted to have some sweet potato fries, but sweet potato fries were like $8 a bag, and I just was not about to spend $8 on sweet potato fries, and I was not in the mood to make any from scratch. So unfortunately, I had to just have me some regular fries. But I didn't have a lot. You'll see that later on in the video. But yeah, I went ahead and I continued to make my patties. And like I said, I ended up having about 6 patties once everything was done. Once I finished putting all my patties together, I did set them in the refrigerator for a little bit while I went ahead and I sauteed my onions. I had some red onions I needed to get rid of, so I went ahead and I used those. I sauteed me a little bit of olive oil in my cast iron skillet and let those cook down by themselves. Sometimes I'll put the burger in the pan with them, but I find that it's easier to wash the onions if you cook them separately. While the onions were sauteing, I went ahead and I started to make my aioli. I made a roasted garlic chipotle aioli. You guys, this sauce was so freaking delicious. It was just the right amount of spice. If you like spicy food, this is going to be good for you. Actually, if you can make it a little bit spicier and add a little bit more chipotle, but I didn't want to overdo it because we were also going to have arugula, which is a bit peppery. But for the sauce, I went ahead and I added the juice of half a lemon. I did make sure I took the seeds out. I didn't want to take a chance in having little seed bits in the sauce once I blended it in the Ninja. But like I said, half the juice of one lemon. I added 2 chipotle peppers, as well as a little bit of the adobo sauce that comes with it. Then I added some roasted garlic. I believe I added about 4 cloves of that roasted garlic. I actually just roasted it in my air fryer. I just chopped the top tip off, put a little bit of olive oil, a little salt and pepper, put it in some foil, and then I think I let it cook for about 20 minutes at 400 degrees in the air fryer, and I just let it sit until I was ready to use it. So I went ahead and added that roasted garlic. Once that was done, I added some seasoning. I added some kosher salt, some black pepper, some ground cumin. I kind of seasoned this to taste. I really don't have the exact measurements. And then I also added a little bit of paprika. I also went ahead and added about a little bit more than I would say a 1/4 cup of some Duke's Mayo. I'm in the South now, and so Duke's Mayo is the mayo of choice down here. So I went ahead and I added that, put my top on, and I went ahead and blitzed it all together until I saw that everything was combined. And then I just love this Ninja. The Ninja is really good. It's powerful. You can do small batches of things if you need to. You don't have to put everything like in a big blender, but you can go ahead and just use the Ninja and make small portions of whatever you're trying to make batches of. I shook it up because I did still see a little bit of mayo on the side, so I wanted to make sure that everything was nice and evenly coated. Once I finished blending everything, I just went and got a little mason jar and I put my sauce in there just to sit to the side until I was ready to use it. I didn't put this in the refrigerator because I was getting ready to, make my burgers, but I knew it wasn't going to be out for long and I didn't want to have cold mayo on my burger if I could avoid it. So I just put it in that little jar. I really should have made a whole lot more because it was so good, but knowing me, I was going to cook something different, and that aioli would have sat in the refrigerator to doomsday. So luckily, I just made the amount that I did. It was enough for 4 burgers. I didn't actually end up cooking all 6. I ended up freezing the other 2 in case somebody got hungry later. There would be some burgers already in the freezer. So I didn't have to worry about it, but this is enough for 4 burgers. So I tried to make sure I get every bit of that sauce out of that container as possible. They have those little ridges inside, so it's kind of hard to just take that rubber spoon and just go across without going through those little ridges, but I ended up trying to get as much out of that container as possible, and I went ahead and I just sealed it up so I can go ahead and get started on my burgers. By this time, my onions were done cooking, so I just took some foil, took the onions out of the pan and sat them in the foil and wrapped them up so they can still stay nice and warm while I go ahead and start making my burgers. So this was another situation where I could just put everything in one pan. So that's really a good thing as well. Pan was already hot, had a little bit of flavors from the onions and the olive oil in the pan. So that definitely made it easier for me to go ahead and get started on the next part, which is to go ahead and add my burgers to the pan. Now, I did not even add any extra olive oil, but I did add some butter, about 1.5 tablespoons. I like to cook my burgers in butter. It just gives it a nice flavor. It coats the pan evenly, so it keeps the burger from sticking. And since we had mixed all of our seasonings inside the burger as opposed to just sprinkling on top, we didn't have to worry about any of our spices sticking to the pan. But the butter definitely gives it some additional flavor. It helps it to crisp and brown up. So I went ahead and I added my 4 patties to the pan. It was kind of crowded in the pan, but I knew that the burgers were going to shrink, so I didn't care. I just went ahead and put them all in there at one time. After letting the burgers cook for a few minutes, as you can see, the sides are starting to brown. I went ahead and I gave them a toss. I have an electric stove. I'm still getting used to this, guys. I actually just moved to the South. I'm from the Midwest, and we didn't have an electric stove. Everything was gas, so it's a little bit different with using a gas stove, but there are different parts of the aisle that are hotter than the other. So I just went ahead and I flipped the burgers over, and then I rotated them just to make sure they're all cooking evenly. I, of course, also added a top. That also helped to make sure that the internal temperature is cooking as well. You want to make sure that you're not pressing these burgers, because when you press that burger too much, what's happening is you're going to press out all of the juice. So just try not to press the burgers that much if you can help it. Flip them carefully. As you can see, they look nice and juicy and fat. They did shrink, and I actually have enough space in my pan now for everybody to have room for themselves. But yeah, so you want to go ahead and cook those burgers until they're done. Now, turkey should be at minimum 165 degrees internally, but I cook mine, a little bit longer. Then I went and got another pan so I can start building my burger. I had a Kaiser roll. I was looking for an onion roll, but they didn't have any more at the store that I went to, so I ended up having this Kaiser roll. I just buttered the pan, sliced the bun in half, and sauteed it there. As you can see, I went ahead and I added some Swiss cheese to my burgers, covered them up, and I let that cheese melt. And then I am ready to start building my burger. So once my bun was completely toasted to my satisfaction, I went ahead and I put a nice amount of that roasted Chipotle aioli. I'm sorry, not roasted Chipotle. Roasted garlic Chipotle aioli to the bun. There is my turkey burger with my cheese perfectly melted. Guys, during my super fat days, I would have put 2 slices of Swiss cheese, but I'm trying to be good, so I only put 1. Went ahead and added some of that, those grilled onions that we had in our foil to the side. Look at that, looks nice and juicy. Then to that, I added a slice of tomato. Now you can top it with whatever you like. Just even having just the burger, the cheese, the sauce, and the onion itself was delicious. But I added a bit of tomato. I added some avocado as well as some arugula. That arugula, it just has a really good flavor, and it just kind of elevates your typical burger. Guys, this burger was so dang on delicious. I did add some more aioli sauce to the top of the bun, but look at that burger. Oh my goodness. And then I went ahead and I added my fries. As you can see, I just had a few steak fries. I cut my burger in half, but look at that. Go ahead and take a bite. And then I had about a half a cup of this Simply lemonade with my bottled water. Ooh, y'all, that turkey burger, I feel like tingles through my body. That roll, that toasted butter, that aioli, the cheese, that definitely was the perfect meal for end of today. It was pretty hot. That meal was just enough. When I tell you, you have to make that burger. It is absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So how did you guys do today? Did you drink your water? Are you balancing your meals? This is the end of day 2. I am going to go through this whole week with my meals. Y'all, I'm ready to go to bed, but I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm not going to go to bed till about 11:30. I finished eating about 8:30, but I have a few things to do, so I should be able to go ahead and meet my 3-hour deadline. But y'all, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's pretty short and to the point. I will see you tomorrow with another video. Talk to you soon. I just had to give you one more close-up of this burger. Look at that, baby. The onions glistening, the cheese melty, the sauce is saucy.